If there's one thing that Toyota is really known for, it's being a bit on the conservative side. When they go from one generation of model to another, the changes are usually incremental. But in the case of the Innova Zenix, well, they just tossed out the entire Innova rulebook and tried something new. Hey everyone, Vince here from AutoIndustriya.com, and yes, we've got the new Innova Zenix for you, and in the top level hybrid trim. No diesel here, no diesel emissions. This is a gas-electric hybrid, something we've always expected that they would put in the Innova name. Now, it's been a while since they launched it in the market, and there was some delay in us getting the unit to give to you guys for our full review, but we're gonna do a bit of catching up. Now, in terms of design, yes, there are a lot of changes with the Innova Zenix. You can see it with the way they do the front. If anything, it kind of reminds us a little bit of Sequoia, which is weird. But the critical changes with the Innova is not just with the look, but it's really starting with the foundations of it. So this is the third generation of the Innova name. And when it comes to the dimensions, it's really been stretched out by quite a bit, because this now measures more close to 4.8 meters rather than 4.7 for the previous generations. And you can see how they've really made it quite a bit bigger. You can see the change with the way they do the fenders. I mean, it looks a bit more muscular, if anything, with the new Zenix. They got the new wheels going on. And by the way, unusually, the tires of this one, it's SP Sport Max, which is odd. We kind of expected, let's say, a Copia or that kind of thing, but rather it comes with sport tires, which is pretty nice. But the most important change with the Zenix is when you look underneath, because when you peek underneath an older Innova, some of the older generations, you'll see a frame there, because it used to be a body-on-frame vehicle. This one, not anymore. This is a monocoque, and that makes a lot of changes with the way they design the vehicle. The benefit of having say a monocoque is that it allows you to have easier entry and egress from the vehicle. No need for step boards and the like. It's easy to get in there, even for your grandma or grandpa, which is a big plus for something like the Innova. The switch to the monocoque platform allows Toyota to maximize the space afforded by the dimensions of the vehicle. But first, let's get to the design. The rear looks nice, the way they do the taillights now. It kind of neatly blends in with the way they do the trim there. You got Innova and then Zenix badging there. By the way, this is not the same Innova as the one they're still producing at the Toyota Motor Philippines plant in Santa Rosa, Laguna. This is a CBU, so that's something to keep in mind with this vehicle. Now, when we pop open the tailgate, by the way, as you can see, motorized, we can show you what's going on with the cabin, or at least when it comes to the cargo space. First off, dimensions from here to there is about 15 inches. And it's about, I think, a 50 or 40 something inches wide. But what I like here, there's a big compartment under there for all kinds of stuff. And also, that's how you lower your spare tire from right here. There you go. There's a receptacle there. Now, folding down the rear seats, the third row. So you can do it that way, and then fold it down. And now the space stretches out to around 43 inches up to the edge of that. It goes a bit more when you push stuff out to the middle row, but that middle row actually cannot fold flat. Everything we're seeing with the cargo space of the vehicle is really a benefit of all the major changes they made to the platform, as well as some of the considerations they made when it comes to engineering the way they do this vehicle. But for that, we'll have to pop under the hood and then also check out the interior, because those things are very much interlinked. Powering the Innova Zenix Hybrid is a 2-liter M20 FXS, meaning it's a 2-liter, it's a Atkinson cycle, being a hybrid, of course, and it makes 152 PS and 188 Newton meters of torque. What augments it is an electric motor drive system, which you can see right there when you follow all of the orange conduits. There's one there, there's one there. And it gives you an extra boost on power, about 113 PS. Total system output is 186 PS. We do wish they gave us a fuller combined torque number, but it's not in the spec sheet anywhere. But still, when we show you the driving later, the torque really is very much there. The transmission, it's a CVT, and this is a front-wheel drive. It's got 2 batteries, of course, everything in the vehicle. I mean, some of you may be wondering, why does a hybrid still have a 12-volt battery? The reason for that is simple. All of your other systems are still 12 volts. Your lights, your AC, all that stuff. So those things are gonna be powered by this, while the drive motor, which is the higher voltage one, is gonna be powered by another battery, which if you look at this diagram, is located under the front seats. It's a nickel metal hydride battery, not a lithium ion battery. So keep those things in mind with the vehicle. But perhaps the biggest revelation when you pop open the hood of the Zenix Hybrid is that there's so much empty space in the vehicle. And the reason for that is because this vehicle has to share the platform, the TNGA platform, with a lot of vehicles. So it has to be made to accommodate bigger engines, smaller engines, taller engines. So in the case of this, the 2-liter gasoline engine and the hybrid system are mounted a little bit lower, allowing them to put the air cleaner up top, which is again unusual. And if you look at the intake of that, which is right here, so it's not that high. This is not going to be something that you're going to be crossing tall or deep floods with. So keep that in mind. But also you can see the platform here. It's similar to the Corolla Cross, where you have the platform, the actual monocoque of the vehicle. You can see it right here. And then for the body panels, they use these kind of like stilts or riser panels to be able to hold it up. Lots of things to see here. Depends on you whether you're actually interested in checking out what's under the hood of the Zenix Hybrid. But us, we're more keen on showing you what's inside because there's some really novel things with what Toyota did with the interior. The story of the interior of the Zenix really starts with the third row because I think Toyota solved some of the big problems when it comes to 3-row MPVs and SUVs with this vehicle. We'll tell you that later, but first we'll show you the effect. Like the leg room here, the knee room is really good. You can even recline this a bit more, but for me, this is like kind of a comfortable position. You got cup holders on either side, 2 on the right side, 2 on the left. There's even a tray here on either side, which can actually fit your phone. There's even a 12-volt outlet here, which you can plug in your, let's say, adapter to charge your USB ports. Up top, you've got grab handles here. You've even have a grab handle right here on the side of the interior panel. So there's plenty of things to really get right here, and they did get right. And it is a 3-seater here in the back because this version is a 2-2-3. When you first see and check out the interior of the Zenix, you're gonna think to yourself, wow, it's so fantastic. Like the nice leather, the AC vents up top, even these LED ambient lights up here. I mean, not a big fan of these kinds of things. I feel it's unnecessary, but still, it's there if you do like that kind of thing. You got a folding table here, similar to some of the other, let's say, high ace models that you see. You've even got these nice seats here, individual seating here for the middle. You've even got this. So it's adjustable armrests for both occupants here in the back. Once you click it and then you find that spot, nice and fixed right there. The seating looks good. It seems like really good cushioning. Headrest, vents up top. You got USB ports down there and your own AC controls with a hook there if you want to hang something like some takeout or whatever. But the real magic of this does not start with the seats. It starts with the foundation, the floor. Because if you look at the floor of the Zenix, it's got more similarities to that of a high ace rather than the previous Innova, because it's fully flat from here all the way to the back. The effect there, they can put rails. This is actually on rails, which is nice. By the way, this is the maximum legroom you got. In the back, maybe kids can sit there if you're seated like this, but not when you start reclining it. By going with the flat floor, Toyota freed up a lot of space, gave themselves more options. And now you're gonna wonder, hey, this is a hybrid, right? Doesn't hybrid batteries take up a lot of space? Well, that's true. And that's why they also put the hybrid batteries right here, underneath the front seats, not in the back. So it gave them the ability to make it flat and make it stretch out a bit more. And by the way, this one does have a power ottoman. That looks really nice. You know what? Let's sit in it right now. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. Yes, you can recline here. It's motorized, so same with the backrest. You can really chill out here on a long drive. That is pretty cool. You can have your drink here. You can have your son or your manong driver or whoever driving the front, and take care of business for you while you chill back here. But of course, we prefer driving, so let's get in front and check out what that's like. Parang nakakatamad tumayo dito. Normally, we start the discussion of the interior of the vehicle with the dashboard, but we'd rather start with the headroom, because me sitting in this position now, this is the lowest setting, by the way, and when I put my hand up here, there's a lot of space from my head up to the ceiling. And if I'm not a tall person, but if you're like 6 foot or something like that, you'll be very, very comfortable here. And the reason for that is Toyota was able to free up more space and put the floor a little bit lower to accommodate taller individuals up here. The reason they can do that is because they've switched to the TNGA platform, so there's no longer a frame underneath occupying some space. Otherwise, they'd have to make the vehicle really, really tall. So that is one benefit of what they went with here. So let's go to the dashboard. It's a premium looking dashboard. I mean, yes, it is going to be plastic up top. There's some piano black plastic here, it's plastic here and all that. But when you look at it, when you actually just kind of check out the details or look at it overall, it looks nice. I mean, the stitching here is nice. This is, by the way, a soft touch pad. This is a nice tray up top here with a 12-volt outlet there, which is nicely positioned, by the way. So much so that I'm actually wondering why they didn't put the USB port here, because it's right here down here with the USB-A and the USB-C. And mind you, only the USB-A is the data port. And then you've got your screen here in the middle with the triple gauges, meaning you got a power meter here, so power, eco, and then charge and then off, instead of a tachometer, because this is a hybrid. You have the multi-info display here with all kinds of information that you may need displayed, including the hybrid system. You can set all of that. Let me get out of this view. So you can set all of that. Adaptive cruise control. This one does have Toyota Safety Sense. You can see it right here, all the controls for these features. Adaptive cruise control, lane keep, lane tracing, that stuff. It's all present here in this vehicle, and we'll list all the features here now. Fuel meter on the right, temperature gauge there. So pretty normal stuff. And right here in the center stack, you got a nice screen here with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. But the resolution is not going to be like the best in the class. It's not as clear or as crisp as some of the other vehicles we've tried. And that, I think, is attributed to the screen. But still, you get the functionality of all of that. Now, this one does come with a 360-degree camera, or a panoramic view monitor in Toyota speak. And you can see it right here. You have to cycle through the views through a button on the left side of the steering wheel, which is unusual. They didn't go for a touchscreen. By the way, this is not a... It almost feels like just a display rather than something native or fully connected to the actual screen. Your transmission control, your T-bar shifter or drive selector is right here. On the left side, you have your other drive controls, so your electronic parking brake, auto brake hold. You can change the mode of the vehicle with this button. So right now, our default usually is just eco. Let me get out of the power mode there. So when I press this button, the light here changes. It changes to eco or to normal, and then power mode. So as those names suggest, it adjusts the behavior of the drivetrain to be more economical, or at least to kind of slow down everything, the response, to be able to give you better fuel economy overall. But also, when you press a drive mode, let's say you put it to eco, the AC also goes to eco. So it tries to be more efficient in that sense. So keep that in mind. When you activate power mode right now, it's more liberal with the use of the engine to deliver you more power. So it's something useful when you're overtaking or going up to Baguio, that kind of thing. Here you have EV mode. If you have enough battery, I mean, right now we are in EV mode. You can see it right there. But you can actually manually activate it. But with the battery only being like 1.7 kilowatt hours, you're not really going to get that much driving range out of the full EV, unless maybe you're going downhill for a long period of time and you're able to charge the battery pretty much for, free. Anyways, what else do we see here? dual cup holders here. One thing I really want them to do is to have a place for your phone, because right now I can't put it there. It's just awkward there. There's no pocket here. My cable is a 1/2 meter cable, kind of can't reach here. It's a little bit awkward. So I'm sure there's some kind of aftermarket accessory for a phone holder, but off the bat there's no tray or anything or pocket to put my phone within easy reach. And speaking of this trim right here, one thing I noticed when I was driving this is this part is mirrored on the left side as well. And when I'm driving, my knee kind of naturally rests there, but it's kind of uncomfortable because there is an edge here. So something to keep in mind, unless you're driving really nice and straight and proper like a racing driver, you won't notice it. But if you're just kind of lounging around in traffic, it's something to keep in mind of. Very minor thing. So the tray up here, you have a glove compartment there with tissue. Sino may dalang tissue? Anyways, up here you have a lid for your center console box, and it opens that way instead of like that. So that's actually a neat thing. So it's pretty deep and spacious. Got the RFID cards here. I can store it up here if I want. You have a mirror here with a light, and then same with this other side. You have these electronically dimming rear view mirror, which is nice. Lights here. No sunglass holder in this variant, not that I see anyway. One thing I did notice last night, this light button, it got stuck. So for about 5 or 10 minutes, it was stuck in the on position. I'm not gonna press it now, but it was stuck in the on position and wouldn't let go. So I had to fish out my little knife to kind of get it to pop out. But still, the interior looks nice, feels good. There are some things I think they should need to work on, but overall, it's a big upgrade from the previous Innova. Anyways, now let's take it out for a drive and try to enjoy the benefits of hybrid driving with paddle shifters. Pretty cool. I have somewhat of a unique perspective with the Innova, because yes, as a car reviewer, as a motoring journalist, I have gotten to review many and pretty much all variants of the Innova throughout the years. This one, of course, is my first time in the hybrid version. But when I first started working, I wasn't working in AutoIndustriya. I was working at a Toyota dealership, Pasig, the one on C5. And the Innova back then, I just got out of college. The Innova was my very first sale. It was a 2.5G diesel automatic, the one with the center armrest. It wasn't captain seats back then yet. I don't think there was a V. Yeah, there was no V variant then back in the day. Onto the Zenix, I can kind of see the evolution of the vehicle, like the leap ahead in terms of design with the interior, with the NVH. Like it's really quiet inside here. I mean, I'm next to jeepneys. You do hear, of course, horns and all that. But Toyota really did well when it comes to the sound deadening of the vehicle. So for one, the insulation around, like loud motorcycle, all that, it's nice and muted, which is what you want in any of these vehicles. And of course, being that the price of this, the inflation and the cost of the technology and all that has kind of really raised up the price of the vehicle compared to what it was 20 years ago or 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. You do expect that the vehicle to be very quiet, to be more refined, to be more Toyota, which is something that like when it comes to the Daihatsu Toyotas, we do feel a difference. Like when you step in from one of those into here, the difference is night and day. The real benefit here is the city driving. Like the Innova before, like the diesels especially, when it comes to city driving, those are really good because being a diesel, you do have more torque down low in the RPM range. In the gasoline versions, I mean, they are starting to phase out diesels, Toyota in particular, to go for more electrification. So the alternative is to go for a hybrid system because it gives you the best of both worlds. The torque of the electric motor that you would miss once they phase out diesel, as well as the top-end power and overall, speed of a gasoline engine. That is what a hybrid gives you. It gives you the best of those two different worlds to try and compensate for a diesel, and I think they did that very successfully. They've always kept the hybrid systems to the, let's say, compact cars and all that, but it's really in the heavier MPVs where the benefits of an electric drive system, a hybrid system, can really be felt, and that is certainly the case here. Quiet, it's smoother, it's more efficient. By the way, speaking of efficiency, in the city, I'm getting very easily 16 kilometers per liter to around 19. And I say 16 to 19 because being that it's a hybrid and it all depends on the state of charge, the numbers tend to fluctuate quite a bit depending on the traffic, depending on your driving style, and depending on the amount of cargo load or people that you have in the vehicle. So all those things play a role. And being conservative with numbers, I'd say very easily you'll do around 15 here average. You can do definitely more depending on your driving style and depending on the other conditions that I just mentioned right now. If I was to point out things that I would want improved in the Zenix Hybrid and the Zenix in general, number one would be the 360 camera. It's not great. The resolution here, especially at night, is it's pretty much no good unless it's like nice and lit outside. So compared to some of the other models we've tried, the clarity of the camera on this one, not great. It is functional. You will see, you will be able to park, but you look at it, it looks more like VGA. Oh God, VGA, I can't remember. I can't believe I still know what VGA means. Do expect that if you're driving solo, which kind of weird in a MPV that has, a lot of seats, is that it's gonna feel a bit more bouncy than the Innova before. And that's because this is a much lighter vehicle, and being that they need to be able to carry 8 or 7 people depending on the version, they're gonna have to spring it to be able to cope with that. So keep that in mind. It may feel a little bit bouncy, and given that most of the weight is concentrated on the front, because the battery here is also in the front, it's gonna feel a bit more front heavy, but the rear is gonna be a little bit bouncy. But once you put people in the vehicle, it's gonna even out very, very nicely. It's all like very minor nitpicky things, because overall, I'm really liking the Zenix. I'm really liking the Zenix Hybrid in particular. It's smooth, it's quiet, it's all you want in an MPV. And more importantly, the way they did the back, I think it's very clever by having the hybrid system, the hybrid battery under the front seats, gives you a nice flat floor. And the more I drive it, the more it reminds me of another Toyota vehicle. And it's not an Innova. I'm talking about the Previa. And this one has that same kind of feel, minus the thirst and the sliding doors. With the Innova Zenix, both in hybrid and non-hybrid, Toyota made a choice. Actually, they took a risk because they're turning their back now on body on frame for this kind of vehicle. It's something they've had since the days of the Tamaraw FX, the Revo, the first 2 generations of Innova, and now we get this. This is not a body on frame anymore. It feels different. It feels more like a car, more like a crossover. Also, it's no longer rear-wheel drive, it's front-wheel drive, so the dynamics have changed. And that is the risk that Toyota is taking with this, because they're turning their back on all those attributes that made the Innova and all its predecessors very popular in the market, particularly in Southeast Asia. But what they're giving us instead is something that has leveled up in every which way we can think of. Refinement, silence, fuel efficiency, torque, and just the overall comfort of it. The only real downside I can think of, they're not making this in the Philippines yet. We're still making the 2nd generation Innova. And Toyota, yeah, you really should consider making this here, because this would be cool if it was Philippine made. Now for pricing, this one is at 1.968 in this shade of white. I think maybe the price has gone up. Hopefully not, but let us know in the comments below what you think of the Innova Zenix Hybrid, because I think they've got some real potential here, especially if they can bring down the price just a little bit further for this vehicle.